Hey guys, welcome back to this segment of A Writer's World. It's your girl Whitney, and today I wanted to tell you guys a little bit of a story time about the time that I dropped out of college. Oh, I know. How can you be on this platform talking about ownership, talking about whatever it is that you talk about on your channel, talking about, moving up Mondays when you couldn't even move up in your college career? Like, ow, pause for a second, calm down. I definitely had some trials. I definitely had to, grow up. So if you guys are interested in my undergraduate journey, then keep on watching. In the beginning, when I first entered college, I decided to go for a school that was local, but still kind of far away. I went to a school that was roughly an hour and 30 minutes away from where my parents were living, right? And so I was like, okay, that's a good distance. I could still drive home. I could still see them at church because we all went to the same church, met up in the middle. And I was like, okay, this is perfect. I get to, be myself. I get to go out. I get to have friends. I get to meet some new friends, meet some boys, right? I'm by myself. I'm 18. Let's get it, right? So I'm like, okay, this is great. And I got accepted into a college where I barely made it through. Like I made low on the ACT. I had a great GPA for leaving, high school. I think it was like a 3.8 or a 3.7, something like that. And I know that's a difference, but it was something along that. I kind of walked into college thinking that I was just going to be the same person that I was in high school. Like, I wasn't going to have to study that much. I literally could just make friends and still do the same stuff that I was doing in high school that I can do in college. So when tests came up, when classes came up, when research papers came up, I would literally wait till the last minute to do them. I literally partied more than I should have. And I was just like, I'm the type of person that doesn't need to study that much. All I need to do is pay attention in class and I'll get the content, right? And even though I am kind of that person, like if I pay attention in class and the discussion is great, then I can retain the information. But when you wake up hungover or when you wake up, dead tired, what are you retaining? What are you listening to? And I just wasn't listening to anything. I started to hang out with people who weren't necessarily the best for me. They were great, they were fun, but pill popping, or I wasn't pill popping. Let me just put that out there. I wasn't pill popping. But hanging out with people who were pill popping or, smoking weed all the time or getting drunk all the time, like, I was having fun, yeah, and it was great, but it was just like the suspense of always looking out for the police or the suspense of having classes in the back of my mind really got to me. And in my first year of undergraduate, I was thinking that I can do this. I got this. I did not need help. And that was my first mistake. Thinking that I did not need more or outside of myself. Thinking that I didn't need to network with my professors. Thinking that I didn't need to go to them for help. Just sitting in my own self and thinking that I can do this by myself. And literally looking at the research paper that I had before me. Regardless of the fact that I loved writing papers, I had no idea what I was doing. And it's a common thing for us to walk into college and say, this is new content and I'm not too sure what I'm doing. But we also need to understand that we can figure out a way to understand what to do next, right? Whether that's studying groups, whether that's, networking with professors, networking with people who took the class a year before, or a semester before, either or just, asking for help in general. Maybe your friends can help you with something that you're not good at, where you lack. And I just didn't do that. I assumed that the friends that I had were, more so concerned about having fun than education. And I thought I could do both. I thought I could balance it both. But I wasn't studying like I was supposed to. I literally remember watching Netflix during finals week and being like, whatever, right? And that's not cool. That's not smart at all. And it's the reason why, I'm here today. No, it's the reason why I have this story. I did not study, and I don't want to say I got drunk all the time, but freshman year was definitely the first time that I ever got drunk, and I liked it. Like, I really liked the feeling that it gave me. I liked the fact that I was loose. I didn't have to care about anything or anyone. I was making money at my job. I was, because I was working in a restaurant at that time. I was making money. I was, maintaining my bills. But I wasn't maintaining what was truly important. And you know, during that time I didn't really have bills. All I had was gas and groceries. When I was 18, all I had was gas and groceries, and I think health insurance. But even then, it was like $35 a month. So I was good. I was straight. Really, roughly, all I needed altogether was $100 a month, and there it is. All I could do is spend the rest of my money on liquor. I had older friends who were, you know, who could buy it for me, and I was set. And the group of friends that I had were set. We were all good together. But it got to the point to where I knew that I was different from them, because when I saw those bad grades, it hit me differently. It didn't just roll over my shoulder and I was like, oh, whatever, and I'm still drinking that night. It really got to me, and I didn't like the person that I was becoming. I did not like that I was feeling super depressed about my grades, and I knew what I was doing. I knew that I needed a better way to handle this education, but I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to take the step forward. I didn't want to stop partying. I wanted to maintain both lives. But when you have your attention diverted in two different areas, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work, especially when they're conflicting in and of itself. I can't be successful but still party every single night and expect that to work. Not unless, you know, I'm trying to be a club promoter, but I don't know about any of that, right? So after my first semester as a freshman, I ended up walking out with a 2.1 or a 2.2 GPA. And I know, you know, a lot of people say that your first semester of college or even your first year of college isn't necessarily the greatest because you're trying to transition and do well in school, or you're trying to transition and get used to the, you know, curriculum at school because it's a different content. It's not the same type of stuff that you were learning in high school. It's literally geared towards your career. And while that is true, my reason for getting a lower GPA is not because I worked hard and I ended up getting a low GPA. It's not because I aimed high and missed. You know what I mean? It's because I did not try as best as I should have. And I could sit there and say that I tried, but genuinely, I didn't. Because like, even though I opened up a book and looked at it, I did not do the best that I absolutely could have. And so when I was going into my second semester of freshman year, I literally was like, okay, I got this. I'm really going to try. I'm not going to get, you know, a 2.1 or 2. Like I'm going to do better, right? In a sense, my studying skills did get better because I was studying with people who were trying to do better, you know, with themselves as far as the math that we were taking. And so, and in the beginning, when I first walked into college, I was a finance major. So I had to take business cal and I had to take calculus and math, you know, because finance, right? And so I was literally studying, and while I got a great grade in that math class, I neglected every other class that I had before because I thought, you know, this will bring up my GPA. But it's one class when I have 3 already under my belt, and then I'm going to have 2 more added on. 1A is not going to bring up your GPA. And so by the time I walked out of my freshman year, I had 4 D's. 4 D's. I had 2 D's from the first semester and 2 D's from the second semester. And my GPA for the second semester was a 2.0. My overall GPA leaving freshman year was a 2.08. I looked at that and I was defeated. I never felt so defeated before in my life because I said, I really tried this semester. Like, I didn't do the same things that I was doing before. Yeah, I was still getting drunk, but instead of every day, I was just doing it on the weekends. Like, I'm confused. And so I still wasn't managing my time right? Because like when I should have been studying, I was partying still. And I was still going to those parties that happen every Friday night. And it's just, you know, I looked at that and I was like, I can't do this. You know, I can't do this. And I was like, I guess college isn't for me. And so I pulled myself out of college. I said, okay, maybe I'm gonna give it a year, right? Like if I come back, I'll be stronger. I'll know what to do. You know, I already got this experience. I'll just graduate a year later and then, you know, I won't get down because all of my friends are going to graduate before me, but it's okay. They didn't have the same start that I did, and I'm trying to better myself just like they were bettering themselves, right? And so I was starting to watch the people around me, and I was starting to make cuts on the people that I wanted to keep in my life, right? And so while I was holding on to these friends that I've had since high school, I was starting to pay attention to the way that they had their studying skills, right? And I was like, okay, so maybe I can do it like them, right? Maybe I can, you know, build myself, build money, so that way when I come back to my university, I can be able to not worry about funds and I can just focus solely on my studying skills, right? So as the summer progressed, I was still partying, but I was working a lot more than I was partying because I wasn't taking any classes during the summer, right? And so when it came to school starting again, I was starting to get sad because I knew that I was not going to go to school. I was like, okay, Whitney, you dropped out of your university. You did not do well the first time, so you're gonna have to, I know this is depressing, but don't sulk. I was always that person who constantly reminded myself not to sulk. Even if I did anyways, I always tried to better my control over my emotions. Moving forward, it got to the point to where I literally was watching my friends sign up for their classes, talking about going to classes, and I was like, oh man, God. Why didn't I study? And what started to affect me more was my failure in gaining the education that I deserved rather than missing the parties. Parties are always going to be there. And so I said, okay, I need to go back to school. And even within those like 4 or 5 months, I decided that I needed to go back to school. And I know that kind of sounds weird, but it was summer vacation, Whitney. It's not like you truly dropped out. I did drop out because in my mind, I was not going to go back to school for another year. I was going to do me, I was going to save up, and I was going to continue forward. And then I came across, a couple family members of mine were like, we support you, Whitney. We want to help you with your school education. They didn't know that I dropped out. They didn't know my GPA. They just knew that I didn't have the funds for school. And so I kind of used that as an excuse. I kind of told everyone, hey, I can't really afford school. I'm just going to give it a semester, right? I'm just going to wait. And then, during that time, my mother was a pusher, and I don't know why she was so adamant about me asking other people for money, right? You know what I mean? She's like, if you need the help, don't be afraid to ask. And she would ask people, for me. And while I didn't like that, I am grateful that she did that, because then I probably wouldn't have gained the skills that I have now. And so I thank God for her, because it's like, if she didn't push me to do that, or if she didn't push to have the funds transferred my way, it's just, I feel like I would have had a different transition. And I'm so grateful for this transition because it taught me a lot. But aside from that, my mother ended up going behind my back and asking my family members for some money. And I was really furious because I was like, I need to do this by myself. What are you doing? And I don't know where I got the notion that I had to do everything by myself, but my aunt was like, how much money do you need, right? I am so thankful for the agencies that I have, for the family members that I have, for the big loving family that I have, because I was not going to go back to school. But when my mother pushed, when my mother asked me how much money I needed, I literally just threw out a number because she wouldn't leave me alone. And then I eventually was going to be like, I'm just not going to go in. I just didn't know what to tell her. And then I got a call from one of my family members, and they were like, yeah, I had some money saved up. Just, let me know when you need it. And don't wait till the last minute, just let me know when you need it. And I was like, thank you. Right? I was like, now I have to go back to school because they went above and beyond for me. This is not my money anymore. Right? It's not a loan that I can just take out. It's not a grant. It's literally my family member's money, and I'm not about to let that go to waste. So the first thing I did was that I signed up for a community college, right? Everyone gets accepted into a community college, right? So I was like, okay, I don't have to worry about the intensity of getting back into school, right? All I have to worry about is getting my basics. So I was like, okay, let me just go back to school and get my basics, and I'll take as many classes as I can. I'll put the stress on me so that way I won't have time to party. I won't have time to do anything but work and school. And that's what I did. So I was full-time. I was taking I was more than full-time, bro. I was taking 18 to 21 credit hours each semester, because I genuinely wanted to push myself to do better in school. So I took a lot of classes. That way I wouldn't fall back. That way I would have to stay on top of myself. And it definitely taught me how to study better, time management, how to retain the information. However easy the classes may have been, it was still a stressful load that I absolutely had to do better than what I did before. And I knew that my GPA was not going to transfer over to whatever university that I was going to. But seeing that GPA over a 3.0 motivated me to go back to university. And so there was a point in time that I genuinely hit rock bottom. I literally sat down and I said, Whitney, you can't do this. I never should have told myself that I could not do this. I was at rock bottom. I was so defeated. I hated myself. I hated the person that I was becoming. I hated that I was so wrapped up in partying and being everyone else's version of who I am rather than being myself. I did not like partying that much when it had a detriment to my education. And I did not like neglecting my education, but I would have rather forgotten about it than actually taking responsibility for my actions and for myself. So as I began my journey at a community college, I took everything that I learned by being at the community college. I gained the greatest friendship in the world that is long lasting, that's still my friend today. And just being at the community college taught me diversity. It taught me how to expand my mind, taught me how to, as I said, time management, study, retain the information, and to plan accordingly. Like the balance was there, the balance between work, school, and minor entertainment. Not any more partying for real, but still having fun so that way I wouldn't feel torn and feel divided. I was still working hard so that way when I finished my community college experience, I was able to get back into the university. And ever since I got back in my undergraduate year, I've only made a GPA higher than a 3.0. From the time I came back, I went to the university freshman year. I dropped out. Then I went to a community college, right? Then I came back to my university junior year. And all those 4 semesters, all of them, I made a 3.0 and above. And so I am so grateful, except the last semester, because that's when senioritis hit. But it was like a 2.9, I believe. Wait, it was a 2.9, I believe, but that's when senioritis hit, and that was my last semester. Overall, the reason why I am proud to say that I am thankful for my overall undergraduate GPA, which is a 2.7, is because it took work to get there. I could not get anything higher than a 3.1. If I got 4.0s, every single semester afterwards I came back, I had a lot of credits under my belt, so it would have been difficult to bring it up. I was 3 points away from being up to the highest score that I could have made ever. And I am so proud of my GPA because that 2.77 literally screams growth. It screams persistence. It screams a transition to me. And I'm completely transparent and honest and, proud of that GPA because I was no longer going to waste my time. I was no longer going to waste my money, my loans. I was not going to take the chance to waste my family's money. I was never going to do that. Ever. I never wanted to do that. So while I had my family members support me in my transition and me going to school and me helping me with my funds and motivating me, I am truly blessed to say that my undergraduate experience was hell. But I am so thankful for the experience as well, because I would not be the person that I am today if it wasn't for that experience. So that was just my whole rundown of what undergraduate life was for me. It was difficult, it was strenuous, but it was self-inflicted. I definitely inflicted that sort of strenuous pain and that sort of, hardworking environment. And I was also an English major where around me people were telling me that I wasn't going to get a job. But I didn't let that stop me. I kept going. I still persisted. I decided to do well. I committed to doing well, and I succeeded in doing well. Thank you guys for joining me today. Oh, that was a story. I don't ever want to talk about that again. I am so thankful for my family and for my friends because I don't know where I would be if it wasn't for them. Thank you for listening today about my story, about my undergraduate experience. If you are willing to share your story or need advice on how to continue throughout life and, college or the real world, whatever it is, send an email my way. There's an email down in the description box below, Writers One World. And if you want your chance to be featured in our next segment, just send me an email and I will hopefully give my mediocre advice. I really want to help everybody in every which way that I can. So if you want to send over your requests, your advice, I'll leave it anonymous, then I will definitely feature that in my next video. Thank you guys. Don't forget, my name is Whitney, and it was great seeing you guys today.